When you download the Kroger app, you have easy access to savings every day. Shop weekly sales and get personalized coupons to get the most value out of every trip, every time, whether you shop in-store or online. Download the Kroger app now to save big. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Must have a digital account to redeem offers. Restrictions may apply. See site for details.
Save big on your favorites with the Buy 5 or More, Save $1 each sale. Simply buy 5 or more participating items and save $1 each with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson, here on the Maroon Friday edition of The Yard. Yeah, that's right. Coming to you from somewhere outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee. From parts unknown, right? Great time so far with the wife, and I tell you what, we missed a great night at Duty Noble Field last night. We're going to break that down. And had a big day yesterday. We were able to kind of keep up with the ball game as things unfolded. And like many of you, I was pretty disappointed about halfway through. But I kept telling Dana, I said, plenty of ball game left. And the next thing you know, Slade Alford comes up with a big hit. You start thinking, maybe we can pull this thing off. Maybe. And then ultimately we do. And sent everybody home happy last night. Most everybody. There's some people that are going to be, salty and sour no matter what you do, what you say. It's interesting to me. It really is. I'm going to talk about that later in the show. It's interesting to me. It really is. I just want to make sure that you guys know what brand of Bulldog I am. I pull for Mississippi State to win every single time in every single sport, period. Will never, under any circumstances, ever pull against Mississippi State. Ever. Ever. Even if it's something that furthers my own agenda or my own narrative, because that's one of the things that happens. People get so incredibly invested in being right, they forget about what matters most. We're all here to support Mississippi State sports, period. And if you are cheering against our student athletes just so you can be right, you're a problem. You absolutely are a problem. And maybe I'm the only one with the guts to tell you, but you're a problem. All right, let's get ready to move forward here. Let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company. I got to get in there early next week and have that Mississippi barbecue burger. I love it. I do. I'm an addict. I'm addicted. I've been thinking about it out here. I haven't even wanted to go get a hamburger just because I know I'm going to save up to go to Bulldog Burger Company. Pretty exciting place. Really is. 3 great locations to serve you. University Drive in Star Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, Lake Harbor Drive in the Ridge and Flowwood area. Go by, have the spring rolls as your appetizer. Matter of fact, I was out here and I saw some imposters. Went to eat at a place, won't tell you the place. They had the Philly spring rolls on their menu, and I said, there's no way they're going to be anywhere close. And these might make me worse looking, so I don't want to take a chance of getting the spring rolls. I get my spring rolls at one place. One place. That's Bulldog Burger Company. Get that chocolate shake to go. You'll be glad you did. You can ride that ride home with a smile. And listen, if you're not in the mood for a hamburger, and more times than not I am, sometimes I want to eat fresh, so I get that BLT salad. You may prefer it fried. I like it grilled. I do. Just trying to cut down on the carbs best I can, when I can. But I get it with ranch. You may like it with the house dressing. A lot of alternatives for you at Bulldog Burger Company. Go by and check them out today. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet, M-E-A-T. All right, let's break down this ball game. We're going to talk about the game. I got a great top 10 list for you. And probably one of the top 10 lists I don't know if I've been this fired up about a top 10 list all year, to be quite honest with you. When we talk about 80s metal and things like that, that excites me, but I feel like I'm more educating than entertaining. But today, I went and saw a killer show last night, and we're going to get to that. Something special is happening with this band, and I want to share that with you. As an old concert goer, from the 1900s, when we could have real concerts in the Jackson Coliseum, right? I've seen all the cool bands, but something is special. It's happening with this band, and I'm gonna share that with you when we get to the top 10 list. But let's break down our win, and then later in the show we're going to talk about what it all means and kind of what needs to happen now. The bottom line is we got to win tonight to make last night mean even more, right? You lose tonight, it's over. All right, so let's get into this. And those of you that were there, you got to see a very entertaining ball game. All right, so we start with Colby Holcomb on the mound, and Colby off to a pretty good start, but just struggled. It appeared to me, in what I was able to see in between bands, watching shows, is the release point was off. And that's the thing too. Mechanically, especially when you got a bigger guy like that, there's so many moving parts. It's difficult at times to have the repeatable delivery, and that's where I think a great pitching coach can make all the difference in a guy like Colby Holcomb. And he's shown some real flashes this year, especially in middle relief. There are times he's come out there and just absolutely laid the hammer down, and then other times not so much. And the last couple of outings have been very much up and down. You saw some of that last night, a ton of walks. We actually kept A&M in this ball game, right? And that's been a story all year. It's like, man, if we could just get decent pitching. We don't have to be great, be good. We just get decent pitching. Guys, not only are we in the tournament, we're probably in the discussion to potentially host. That's not to say that's the only problem we got. It's the biggest one we got. And, the right pitching coach, I think, could make a big difference for us. All right, let's get into this ball game. All right, the very first hitter of the game, Haas. Shouldn't he be Haas? I mean, honestly. If we're talking the Aggies of College Station, Texas, shouldn't it be Haas? Nevertheless, we actually get ahead in this count 1-2 and end up walking him, which is kind of the story for the night for Colby, unfortunately. You get a line out to right field, right center, and man, hadn't Kellum Clark been good for us defensively this year? Kellum's never going to be like a plus defender, but he makes the plays he's supposed to make, and sometimes he makes plays you don't expect him to make. That's probably, this season, of course, has been a disappointment. That's probably one of the things this year that has probably lost in the discussion is, just a couple of years ago, we threw Kellum Clark out there and said, okay, go figure it out. And now all of a sudden, anytime the ball is hit to right field, I expect there to be an out. So his development as a defender, again, he's not a plus defender, but he is a guy that gets out there and competes and uses athleticism to make some plays for us. But so there you go, first out. Warner then strikes out swinging, and then Lavalette strikes out swinging. But those were both extended at-bats. The pitch count's already running up here. And so you can kind of see, against A&M's a team that they have a great eye there. I don't know what their offensive approach is, but they have the tendency to walk more than anybody in this conference. But we're able to get to them here. They just weren't able to lay off some of their breaking stuff. So we give up the leadoff walk, and we get out of it. You go 1, 2, 3 here, and kind of get ready to move forward here. And you think, okay, maybe he'll settle down. All right, bottom of 1, State goes 1, 2, 3. Marshawn grounds out to third, and they extended it back there too. And you got Detmer up there. And listen, Detmer is not a bona fide Friday night guy, but that guy's a competitor. He's probably a Saturday guy throwing on Friday just based on team need. So, I see Marshawn go out there. You talk about an emerging star for us. When you see what's happened, and I go back to something Lamona said. He said, as a staff, they knew if they ever put him on the field, you weren't going to be able to take him off. And then, once he went in place of Lane Forsythe at shortstop, it has been a much different dynamic for the Bulldogs. It has been. And even though Marshawn gets out here, you want your leadoff guy to go up there and look at pitches and see what he's got and come back to the dugout and share with the hitting staff and everything else, kind of what he's got. So Marshawn, even though it's a ground out here, it's a productive at bat. Ledbetter then grounds out to second on a 2-0 count, and that's what Detmer does, guys. And obvious fastball counts. Detmer is able to get some sink, get under barrels, and have you beat the ball on the ground. That's what he does. That's why he's been successful. And then Hunter Hines strikes out swinging. Hunter's in a bit of a funk right now. Got to get him going here this weekend. We're going to need him. They got a lot of left-handers. That hadn't always been the best for Hunter. We got to get him going though. Top of second, we go right back out there, and all of a sudden it appears that Holcomb has really calmed down a little bit here. You have the elongated at bat with Thompson, but you get a punch out there. You get ahead of 0-2, and next thing you know, it's a lengthy at bat. It ends up being 2-2, but once it being a 9-pitch at bat, we get him to strike out. Then Minich grounds out to short, and then Boss strikes out swinging, and that was it's a 4-pitch at bat right there. So all of a sudden you think, okay, we're settling in, right? We're settling in here. And the last 2 outs of the second inning, very efficient. And the name of the game, and this is one of the things that I think a lot of people don't fully appreciate, it's not striking out. It's pitch efficiency. If you want to work deeper in ball games, you got to pitch to contact, gets off contact, and get off the field I mean, that first pitch ground ball to short means more to you than that 9-pitch strikeout. It really does. I know it's fun, but if we're talking about what's better for a team and a weekend, it's to have guys go deeper in ball games. That's got to be a change in our philosophy. That's just my personal opinion. All right, bottom of second, Dakota Jordan walks here, and again, leadoff walks. Leadoff walks are the devil. They are. They're not as bad as 2-out walks, but they're tough. So Dakota Jordan walks here, and then Kellum Clark singles up the middle, and then DJ's going, right? And they try to throw it to third, and I don't know what happened at third base. It was a pretty bad effort there by the third baseman. The ball gets away, and then next thing you know, we take off for home. And it's a wonder Kellum Clark didn't come all the way around to score himself, as crazy as it all was. But nevertheless, it's a 1-0 ball game now. Slade Alford then taps back to the pitcher, and then he throws out Kellum Clark, who's trying to go to third there. You got to kind of see that one through, right? You do. I mean, you're in second base here. You got a runner in scoring position with nobody out. A little bit too aggressive there. So that they get the lead runner there, and then Hancock grounds into a double play. Again, the lefty thing, right? Luke's had a few moments now and again, but here as of late, he's been rolling over to baseball. All right, 1-0 Mississippi State after 2. All right, top of third. We talked about Target early in the week. I mean, he was a guy they expected to have a big year. He had a big night last night. He had not had a big year, but he had a big night last night. A double to right field to kind of get things going. And then Coffer walks. And then Hoss, we're going to call him Hoss. He walks. Now all of a sudden the bases are loaded here. So you give up the leadoff double. That's part of baseball. And then you compound the problem with back-to-back walks. The first one, a 4-pitch walk. Bases loaded. You think, okay, they're going to score here, right? All right, they get a sac fly here to make it a tie ball game. Warner then grounds out the first unassisted, and the run scores. Run's already in there, but so now all of a sudden it's basically a bunt situation here. If that works out. Then Lavalette is walked to load the bases, and we get Thompson to strike out swinging. I don't know what we saw. Right? I don't know what we saw. We're just kind of setting a matchup there, but we intentionally walk a guy. I don't know. We've done that a whole lot. We did it some last week against LSU. We did it some last night against A&M. But clearly we saw something in the matchup with Thompson that we liked, and we're able to get a strikeout. So you navigate through that. As bad as it was, it's only a tie ball game. So, again, you pitch yourself into trouble. You're able to get out of it. All right, bottom of third, Amani Larry doubles right back up the middle. And just like A&M, you get a runner in scoring position, nobody out, you should score here. And we do. Heifel then sack bunt, gets Larry to third. We're playing for one. My philosophy many times, especially if I get a guy in scoring position, I'm playing for one every inning. Marshawn then singles up the middle, and Larry scores. So Marshawn coming through again. It's just what he's doing. That's what he does. Then he's still second. Ledbetter is walked on 4 pitches. And then Hunter Hines singles to the pitcher. And bases are loaded here with 1 out. You got Dakota Jordan and Kellum Clark up, and you're thinking, we've got a chance to get some separation in this ballgame right here and now. Got Detmer on the ropes. All of a sudden, we can't get the ball in the infield. Dakota Jordan hits it on the screws, but it's a line out to first, and then Clark flies out to left center. So that's 2 guys right there that we depend on to be run producers for us. They don't come through here. Again, you have Detmer on the ropes, ball in the gap here. You've really got them in trouble. And the thing about it is, too, it's funny how life works. Both of us had to use some big arms. If you get the big separation here, and you continue to tack on, they don't end up using their premium relief arms. They don't. It's funny how life works. All right, top of 4. State is a 2-1 lead here. Should be more. All right, you walk Minich, and then you walk Bost. And then Targak hits a home run. And that's how life is, man. I mean, you go out there and you keep issuing free passes. At some point, it comes back to get you. I mean, you keep playing in the street. At some point, you're going to get run over. And we did. 3-run shot here in a game that we had a chance to break open in the third. Now all of a sudden we're down 2. 4-2. Coffer walks. Hoss fouls out to right field. And that's it. That's it for Holcomb. We go get him. Bring in Tyler Davis, who was outstanding last weekend against LSU. And it appears that he left that in Baton Rouge. Coffer still second. Moss's walk. Warner then singles to the shortstop. Bases loaded here. And then we walk Lavalette to force in a run, make it 5-2. And that's it. We go get KC. And as Lamonis talks about all the time, and it's not like that, he's not the Aristotle of baseball. You got to get somebody to get you a hold. You got to get somebody to keep the game in place. And that's what KC does for you here. KC was outstanding. All right, Thompson reaches on a fielder's choice. Run scores. It's 6-2. And then we get minutes to strike out looking. And what a big strikeout that was. It's a 6-2 ball game, and you're thinking, you know what, man, we were just one pitch away from being in command of this ball game, and now we're down 4 runs. All right, bottom of 4. Slater Alford strikes out swinging. Hancock then doubles down the line. Like to see Luke taking the ball the other way when he can. And Larry then grounds out to short. Hancock goes to third, but then Heifel can't get it done. We fly out down the right field line. So, again, a runner in scoring position with less than 2 outs. We aren't able to get them home. It's not always going to happen, but that's how the game is played. You get them on, you get them over, you get them out. That's baseball. All right, top of 5. A&M tacks on again here. Boss walks. Targak walks. And this right now you're thinking, you know what? KC just doesn't have it tonight. He gets caught for the strikeout swinging. Hoss reaches on the fielder's choice, and we force the runner at second. Now there's runners on the corners. And then Haas goes to second, and Boss scores on a pass ball. It is now 7-2. And at this point, Twitter is on fire. The headliner's taking the stage out here in Chattanooga at the Signal, and I'm keeping up with you guys. It's just absolutely at this point. I'm showing my wife the score, and I'm like, I'm kind of glad we're here instead of there, because I don't want to have to sit there and watch us lose the way we're about to lose. I mean, I'm a negative guy at times. You wouldn't believe it. I just don't share it on social media the way many of you do. But when it's just me and her, sometimes I get frustrated. I'm like, it's 7-2. I said, you know what? There's still plenty of ball game left. Let's just kind of see what happens. Let's just see what happens. Because I felt like if we could get in that bullpen, maybe we can make some hay. Well, we get a big hit coming up here in the bottom of 5. Marshawn flies out to the shortstop down the left field line, and then Ledbetter flies out to center field. So 2 outs in the inning, you think, okay, well, this is how it's going to go. We're going to go quietly. But no, Hunter Hines, an elongated at bat here, gets ahead in the count 2-1, and then milks it and fouls the ball off, takes one down, fouls it off, the ultimate walk. What a great at bat to extend the inning, right? It would have been very easy for Hunter Hines to just take a selfish swing here, right? It's frustrating as the last he had a good game on Sunday against LSU, but he hadn't hit a home run in a while, right? And it would have been easy to say, you know what, man, this thing is over. This game is over. This season is over. I'm just going to go up here and see if I can't hit one to Texas. But instead, he stays within himself, takes a quality at bat, and what do you know, it sparks a rally. DJ then singles to right field. They go get Ashton back in place for Dedmer. Kellum Clark. Again, wouldn't have been very easy for Kellum to say, you know what, I'm going to go up here and just try to untie my shoes and see if I can't hit one to West Point. But instead, he works a count. Next thing you know, the bases are loaded. And now all of a sudden, there's a little joy at Duty Noble Field. Everybody's thinking, you know what, if we could just get a hit here, and we do. Slade Alford comes in and doubles the opposite way. They just kind of inside-outed him there. I don't think the point of contact was what he intended. But he ends up doubling down the right field line. Everybody's shaded more towards center. That ball gets down the right field line. All 3 runs come in to score. It's now a 7-5 ball game. And then, they got to go back and review to see if we missed third base. We didn't. We did not. I don't blame Schloss for taking a chance there, but we didn't. All right, Hancock then strikes out looking, but it's a new ball game. Now all of a sudden being down 5, we're down 2. There's plenty of ball game left. All of a sudden my mood here in Chattanooga got a lot better. All right, top of 6. This is when I thought KC began to kind of show some moxie here. We get Warner to strike out looking. Lavalette walks, and we're sitting there watching on the phone. To me, it looked like an intentional walk. Then he's still second. Thompson singles to center field, and all of a sudden you got runners on the corners. And rather than just fold here, KC's like, nah, I got it. Thompson ends up taking second. So you got two runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs, and neither score because we get minutes to strike out swinging and Boss to strike out looking. They didn't even get a productive out here. That's a great job by KC, and in many respects, I thought really the turning point in the ball game from a pitching standpoint. Because we needed a clean inning, right? I mean, that's what happens when you start, chipping into the lead. You got to be able to get a hold for them, and we do. We do. All right, bottom of 6. Amani Larry, the very first pitch that he sees, he launches into left field for a home run. It's now 7-6. You're thinking, you know what? We're going to win this game. As crazy as this thing is going, we're going to win this game. Ross flies out to center. Marshawn walks again. I mean, the kid is just an on-base percentage machine. I mean, it is. I mean, it just defies logic. The fact that this kid is playing well beyond his years. He is. We got to keep this kid. Whatever we got to do, we got to keep him. Ledbetter singles to left, which sends Marshawn to third. Hines flies out to right, but guess what? It's a sac fly. And he nearly hit that ball in the yard. It's a tie ball game. Jordan strikes out looking on 3 pitches. And so it's 7-7 now with 3 innings to play. And you think we're okay. And then KC gives up the home run to Targak. Again, he hadn't done much this year, but he had a big ball game against State last night. And all of a sudden it's 8-7. And there's some guys in my group text were like, that's it. KC just blew the game. And I'm here thinking, guys, it's 1 run. Let's just kind of hang in here. And one of my other guys in the group text, I won't identify these people, so I'd rather give up a solo home run than go out there and walk the ballpark. And that's me too. Go out there and challenge hitters, and sometimes they're going to get you. Kofor walks, then Haas flies out to left. Moss doubles to left center, which sends Crawford to third. And the fact that we're able to get that ball back in and hold them proved to be very significant later. Warner flies out to center and short center field, so not able to advance the runner. We intensely walk Lavalette again, and then Thompson again, we get him to ground out. There's just something about that matchup we seem to favor. 8-7 is your score midway through the 7th. Now they bring in Garcia in place of Aschenbach. They're trying to get this thing finished up. And I don't blame them. Kellen Clark with an infield single to the left side, and then Alford strikes out swinging, and then Luke rolls into a double play. And you start thinking, we only have 9 outs to work with, and we use 2 of them on 1 play here. At the moment, it seemed like a really big deal. It did. All right, top of 8. Minute singles up the middle, and then Boss flies out to right. Targak strikes out swinging. We finally get him out. In the middle of all that, Minutes takes second, and then Crawford strikes out looking. And so, pretty good inning here for KC. Again, getting the hold. Bottom of 8, they plunk Amani Larry on an 0-2 count. See, it doesn't just happen to us. Heifeld gets the sac bunt down. And how many teams out there have a catcher as athletic as ours? They could also get a bunt down. He can hit for power and get a bunt. There we go. All right, they actually, close play at first. Ross nearly beats this thing out. We end up getting reviewed, and we lose our challenge. But nevertheless, the tying run is the second base with less than 2 outs. Then Marshawn walks again. Ledbetter singles, infield single here, and the bases are juiced. You're thinking, here it is, here's the moment. Just give me a routine fly ball to right, and this thing is tied. Worst case scenario, give me a double in the gap, and we got a lead. And then Hunter Hines grounds into a double play. And again, that's the A&M philosophy. We're going to go out there and pitch to contact. We're not going to walk a bunch of people. We're not going to go up there and give a bunch of home runs. We're going to go up there and pitch lower in the zone. We're going to make you beat the ball on the ground. And that's what happened. So we're down 1 going to the 9th. Nate comes in for us. And I thought Nate was really good. Really good. Concert's over at this point. I'm just trying to will this team to victory, right? You know how it is. You're like, let's just find a way to win. Let's just find a way to win. Haas flies out to right. Moss singles to the left side. The next thing you know, Werner walks. Lavalette strikes out looking. It was a big out because we get down 3-0 in the count and come back and strike him out. And then Thompson, we get ahead 0-2. He ends up getting 2-2, and we plunk him. And it's like, here we go. No. But instead, Nate put his foot in the ground and said, no, we're done. We're done with this. And he gets minutes to strike out swinging. I just thought that slider to Thompson just kind of ran in there. I mean, it's just one of those things that happens. And I thought, based on what I saw, I thought Nate's stuff looked good. I thought it took him, took him a couple hitters to get warmed up. I thought he got squeezed a little bit with Werner. But nevertheless, we get out of that. We navigate through that without surrendering a run. We're down 1, and we gives our team a chance here in the bottom of the 9th inning. And so, bullpen, holding it together. Give Casey, Nate a lot of credit. So we get to the 9th, and the thing that I've always said, this A&M team is not great. They're a good team. They're an older team. They did some things here in the 9th inning, though, that losing teams do, and ultimately they lost. So the very first thing is you walk DJ Jordan on 4 pitches. All right, this is a kid that's got great speed. Anything in the gap, he's got a chance to score, right? Got great speed. Hadn't especially been prolific as a base stealer, but he's capable of doing that. Clark ends up flying out to center field. And I thought this was a very interesting decision here. We pull Slate, who had a couple of at-bats that were a little bit dicey, shall we say, and you bring in Bryce Chance. Bryce Chance gets down in his count 1-2, fouls the ball off, takes the ball low, takes the ball up, fouls the ball off. The next thing you know, he's on base. So now all of a sudden, yes, it sets up the double play, which was already in order, but you've got a runner in scoring position. They lift Garcia, bring in Johnson. Luke hits that high chopper to first. Not hit hard enough to turn 2. And now there's 2 runners in scoring position. So the tying and game-winning runs are on base and in scoring position. But there are 2 outs. And then what do you know? They gift us the run. They do. The wild pitch, and it carried him so far back. I mean, the catcher overthrows the pitcher. The discretion's the better part of valor. And had he played by the third baseman to be there, Bryce Chance would have scored, and we'd have scored 2 on a wild pitch. I like the way it worked out better. They throw that slider again to Amani, and that thing is nearly a wild pitch. They come back with a 3-1 fastball, and Amani turns it and hits it deep into the Starkville night. And the Bulldogs walk it off 10-8. There are a couple things that I want to say.
The new Chevy Silverado HD puts you in command. Own strength with its enhanced available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8. Own the lake with its available advanced towing technology. And own technology with an available 13.4-inch diagonal touchscreen. The new Chevy Silverado HD. Own work, own play, own life. Learn more at Chevy.com. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
About this before we get into the numbers here. When we played Arkansas, that Saturday game is one of the worst games I have ever seen a Mississippi State team play. And that includes some of those games we get 10-run ruled in embarrassing fashion. We did not look engaged. We did not look like we wanted to play baseball. We did not look like we wanted to be there. And I began to ask myself, maybe some of these people are right. Maybe the team has quit. It is evident after what we have seen the last 9 to 10 days that this team hadn't quit. They're playing hard for each other. They're playing hard for you, playing hard for their coach. And they pulled one out of the fire last night with 3 in the 9th. And it's interesting, too. We talked about how we kind of felt like the game was over. We're down 7-2 in the 5th. And just like it was at LSU last weekend. The second half of the ball game, we were the team doing the scoring. After A&M gets that 7-2 lead, guys, we outscore them 8-2 the rest of the way. They only scored 1 run after the 5th inning. It's tough to win that way. It is. All right, looking inside the numbers here. Hunter Haas, our favorite player, 0 for 4. Dave Mershon, 1 for 3 with an RBI, a couple walks there. So he gets on base 3 times in the ball game. Colton Ledbetter, 2 for 4. Kind of a quiet 2 for 4, but it's kind of advancing the lineup. Hunter Hines, 1 for 3 with 1 RBI on the sac fly. Dakota Jordan, 1 for 3, but also had 2 walks and scored every time he got on base. Kellum Clark, 2 for 4 on the night. Also had a walk. He's on base 3 times. Slade Alford, 1 for 4 with 3 RBI, of course, of that big double. A couple punch-outs there. Luke Hancock, 1 for 5 on the night. Amani Larry, your hero, your Diamond Dog hero, 3 for 4. 3 runs scored, 3 RBI. Ross 0 for 2, but had a couple of big sack bunts there. Look at the pitching numbers here, for State. Holcomb, 3 1/3, 2 hits, 5 runs, all of them earned, 7 walks, 5 strikeouts. That just drives me crazy. Tyler Davis comes in, doesn't retire a hitter, gives up a hit, walks 2, and rather than sit there and let us get beat on, we pull him. KC finds some magic in perhaps his last appearance ever at Duty Noble Field. 4 2/3 of an inning, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 of them earned, 5 walks. And a couple of those were intentional, but 8 strikeouts. He was good. And then Nate, credited with the win, 1 inning pitch, allows a hit and a walk, and has a couple strikeouts. Then, of course, the strikeout there to give us the dugout in the ninth was huge. So again, Nate credited with the win there. And we'll see what happens the rest of the day today. But when I look at these pitching numbers for A&M, guys, they threw their best guys yesterday. That's not to say they can't come back. They can. I mean, I don't think anybody threw enough to really prevent themselves from returning, unless it's maybe Brandon Garcia. Nate Detmer goes 82 pitches. Evan Ashback, 31. Brandon Garcia goes 46. And Will Johnson, 9. But here's the deal. Man, the season's on the line. A&M is not in a tournament. They're not. They're not in. And they may not be in. So it's going to be all hands on deck for everybody. Like as Lamona says, we're playing for something. They're playing for something. The reality of it is that there is no tomorrow. There's not. There is no tomorrow. You got to go win the day. And we have our best starter on the mound today. See, I like our chances. And that was the thing. It's like if we can find a way to win on Thursday, we should win this series. But winning the series is not going to be enough. I think we have to sweep the series to give ourselves any possibility of getting to Hoover. Yes, mathematically there's always an issue there. I mean, there's always a chance. But you go sweep this series, and I think you need, if either LSU or Auburn can get a sweep for you, then all of a sudden you're in. Right? That's the important aspect of this, right? I mean, I hate that we're in the position that we're in, but rather than point fingers and cry and everything else, I just want to keep playing. Because you want to keep hope alive, because you never know what could happen in Hoover. Do I expect to win a tournament? No, I don't. But I also know this. I know some of those teams up there are ready to get out of the tournament, get home and get their legs back under them and get their pitching ready. You never know. You never know. But I know this. You can't win Hoover if you're not in Hoover. And so let's just try to get there. Let's see what happens. Let's just see if we can't go win a couple more ball games and get some help. And we did get some help last night a little bit. Got a little help last night. Let's go win today's ball game today, and we'll reassess the situation tomorrow. We'll set some of that up a little bit later in the show. All right, time for today's Top 10 list. Brought to you, as always, by closewithblair.com. That's C-L-O-S-E with Blair, B-L-A-I-R.com. Blair is a mortgage professional. There are a lot of people in the mortgage business. Blair is a mortgage professional. 22 years of experience, back-to-back-to-back, top 1% close ratio in the country. Not just in Issaquah County, not just in Sharkey, not just in Pisgah, in the country. You got a real one when you got Blair Chandler. Go visit him today at his website, closewithblair.com. If you're looking to refinance, or in many respects, people are just looking to get into a mortgage. A lot of people out there said, you know what, Steve, I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy a home and be able to have this for my children. And you can get off the renting hamster wheel by employing Blair Chandler. Give him a call or text today at 601-500-2344. Again, that's 601-500-2344. And here's the deal, too. The summertime is when things get hot in the real estate mortgage business. It does. And so it's best to go ahead and Blair can get you pre-qualified, let you know, hey, what's what we're looking for. And maybe you want to move into a different school district. Maybe your job is requiring you to make a move, or maybe you just want to be closer. Maybe you want to be closer to friends or family, whatever. Deal with a guy like Blair Chandler that can get you the best deal possible. Again, that's closewithblair.com. Okay. I cannot count how many bands that I have seen play live. I can't. I used to, but when you factor in all these festivals and these times that I go and watch people, and it's just it's too many to list. It is. But I was part of something last night that I think was really special. I wasn't prepared, to be quite honest with you. Went to the show at the Signal. I'd never been to the Signal before. And you guys that live up here in this neck of the woods and you're able to frequent that venue, it's a cool little place. It is. I mean, I say a little place. It's not really a little place. It's just kind of it's a huge club, basically. And they cleared the floor. And we were a little bit later coming in. We went and ate at Nick and Norman's, which is Norman Reedus' place. Norman from Daryl from The Walking Dead. We are Walking Dead fans, so we saw an opportunity to go eat and support them, and it was good. It was good. It was good. Wasn't great. It was good. But that's right down the street from the Signal, and so we went to the Signal, and we're a little bit later getting there, and they told me 1,000 people came in the first hour. Like once doors opened, they counted 1,000 people. And I don't know what that place holds, but it was at capacity. It was packed. Every show on this tour for the band Bad Omens is sold out. Every single show. And I was thinking, okay, well, this has got to be, they're playing small clubs. They're not playing small clubs. They're not playing arenas, but they're playing big venues. Every show was sold out. And so when we began to plan our anniversary trip, I was just kind of see, is there a show up there I can go see? Well, Bad Omens is playing at a Signal. I've always wanted to go to Signal. I've always wanted to see Bad Omens. And I paid about 3 times face value for the ticket. And it was well worth it. And it's difficult to really describe, and I don't want to oversell this either, but I've been a Bad Omens fan, I guess, since the first album. And there are 3 albums in now. But when I started hearing, one of the songs is going to be on our top 10 list on Sirius XM Octane, I was like, hey, these guys have got a little something. Then the second album comes out, Finding God Before God Finds Me, and I'm blown away. And then they did an acoustic, kind of an unplugged EP about some of the songs on that album, and you really get to hear Noah's vocal range, and I'm like, this band has something. And then their new album comes out, The Death of Peace of Mind, and it's launched them into a different stratosphere. And they have a song that made our top 10 list that has become really popular on TikTok, and they referenced that last night when they played it. Said, yeah, here comes the TikTok song. You never know what's going to work, and you never know. Nowadays, we're also glued to our phones what becomes good marketing, and this just kind of organically happened. And it was amazing last night because people from all generations were there. And singing along the songs that I barely knew. And I thought, I know all the hits, and I know a couple deep tracks here and there. Guys, it was like a chorus every single song going back to the first album. And it's like everybody's favorite songs got played. And there's something different about this band. I can't really put my finger on it. I mean, of course, it helps that you can sing and write songs, right? That kind of goes without saying. But they've got this industrial feel, but they also have the melodic feel. And there's so many people out there like Amity Affliction and others that are doing something quite like that. I don't know that anybody's doing it better than Bad Omens. And so if you're looking for a new band to get into, if you like modern rock, let me go ahead and tell you, this isn't 2 and 3 chord progressions. This isn't 2s and 4s. This is a much different deal. It's very much modern rock, and with an incredible singer, an incredible songwriter, writing about some things that are very relatable to people. So your top 10 today is the band Bad Omens. And it's almost impossible to get merch for them. Almost impossible. I should have got some last night, because I like to support bands I go see. The line was wrapped around the building, around the concourse, and then it's gotten to be such a big deal with this TikTok thing is they have to announce when they're going to have a merch drop, because as soon as it goes live, it's gone. Again, there's something happening with this band that's really unlike anything that I've seen in a long time. All right, number 10, from the album The Death of Peace of Mind. It's a song called The Gray, and I didn't think they'd play it last night. They nearly played the new album in its entirety, but the song The Gray is one that I really dig a lot. And I surprised it made the playlist, but or the set list. But I think you'll dig that one. It kind of, again, a lot of guitar with this one. Number 9, one that's got a really deep bass line, and it's a little more on the industrial side, and you can hear maybe a little bit of R&B at times. But it's a song called "Bad Decisions," and it's, our protagonist is a person that basically is kind of sees themselves as an island. And it talks a little bit about that. He goes, no God, no religion, just bad decisions. And there's a lot of that going around these days. But that's when the very first time I listened to the album in its entirety, that's one that kind of stood out to me. And of course, they play it last night. It's become a fan favorite. All right, Glass Houses. That's going back a little bit. Glass Houses, a song from the first album, the self-titled album, Bad Omens. That is the lead track on the very first album, and one that I think that will probably remain in the set list for a while. The way that the crowd responded to that, I liked the song, and then to find out that so many other people did, I was like, well, this is pretty cool here. Okay, number 7. Careful What You Wish For. This is off of Finding God Before God Finds Me. Now, the acoustic version of this, you can find that too. Both those are available on Spotify and Apple Music. The reimagined version kind of changes the tone of the song to me. I think it sounds more earnest in many respects. Number 6, the first big hit for Bad Omens, goes all the way back to 2016. And the self-titled album, It's the Worst in Me. This is what really, I would say this kind of pulled me in, kind of introduced me to the band. But I didn't really become a raving fan until the second album. But this is one I'm like, it's pretty good. All right, number 5, the first single on The Death of Peace of Mind is a song Like a Villain. I think lyrically it's one of the best things Noah has constructed. It's one of those songs too, just kind of gets you going, right? I mean, you put it on, you turn the radio up, and you're like, yeah, this is a little bit different. All right, number 4, the song they call the TikTok song. My wife will be disappointed that this is so low on the list, but that's okay. And basically, it's about it's about the end of a relationship or whatever, and you're having a tough time getting over this person, and that's what it's about. Just pretend. It's like basically I'm just gonna pretend that I'm okay. I'll wait for you at the bottom. There's a lot to it. There's a desperation in the song that I think a lot of people at some point we all feel. We always try to act like we're all so tough and nothing really bothers us. And what a terrible way to go through life, to be emotionally unavailable and unaffected by life. But that's kind of what this song is about. It's like I'm gonna just try to be that person. I'm just trying to be tough and not have to, but I'll just pretend. So it's very profound, and it has really resonated with the younger generation. And when they played it last night, you could barely hear the band. Incredible. All right, number 3, we're going to go, I put this acoustic because I want Roy to use the acoustic version of this song. Even though the electric version rocks, it's the song Never Know. But I think because I want you guys to kind of get the full palette, right? Never Know from the EP. The acoustic EP of Finding God Before God Finds Me. The song Never Know is amazing. And basically it's one of these situations where it's like you're in this tenuous relationship and there's this happening and this happened, but I want you to know that I'm okay to never know. Like I want you to know that I don't need to pursue this to be happy in life. If we would have made it or if we hadn't made it, I'm okay with never finding out. That's kind of what the song's about. All right, number 2, and probably the highlight of the show last night, and my wife and I both really look forward to hearing them play this live because sonically it is just on a different level than most of what you hear on modern rock radio. It is a title track, The Death of Peace of Mind, and basically the song is about it. And it's so profound in many respects. It talks about how love is the death of peace of mind, and a lot of that too is because when you're just on your own, you don't have anybody to worry about. You don't have to think about anybody's cheating on me or somebody trying to steal my significant other away from me, and all of a sudden you have to worry about that person when they travel and things like that. But to me, there's nothing better than being in love. But I also understand that aspect of it in the beginning. when you're just kind of single and solitary to yourself, all you have to do is worry about yourself. However, when you're entangled with somebody else, all of a sudden your life becomes entangled with theirs. And so all of a sudden, instead of you just being nervous and anxious about your own life, you're nervous about theirs. Number one, though, and this is the song that made me a super fan of Bad Omens. And it's what I've always wanted to go see them play live, and they've never come to Mississippi. And but based on what's happening with this band, we have to find a way to get these guys to Mississippi. And they're going to be touring again this fall, and I'm going to try to get out and go watch them again. But the song Limits, and we've had that on the top 10 before. To me, that is my favorite Bad Omen song. And I love the chorus. But if you're throwing me to the lions, you should know I'm not scared of dying. And I think everything about that song is just kind of in-your-face defiance. It's like, you want to come after me? Okay, fine. You need to understand who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with. It's anthemic to me. And I get chills sometimes when I put that song on, like the hair on the back of my neck. Well, I don't have a lot of hair on my arms, but you understand my point. There are some songs that just resonate within our spirit. This is one of those ones for me. It just is. It's just one of those songs that it will probably be on like my life's playlist, because from the very beginning when I first heard this song, I was like, wow, I've been waiting for this. Where's this been? So check them out. If you like modern rock music, and you need to understand this is not Aerosmith, okay? I love Aerosmith. I love this stuff too. But Bad Omens right now might be the best thing going as far as like up-and-coming bands. There's so many bands. Sleep Token's got a new album out. I love what Sleep Theory's doing. But something about this Bad Omens thing, every show is sold out. You can go see for yourself. Every show is sold out. All the merch sold out. And you go to the show, and everybody's rocking Bad Omens merchandise and singing along to every single song. I mean, how many times you go to a show and they introduce new music and everybody's just kind of sitting there staring at their shoes? Last night was a celebration, man. It's a celebration of life. It was incredible. I was so glad that I could be there. If you have ideas for the top 10 list, reach out and let us know. You can find me on all forms of social media at Scout Steve R. And, of course, Roy putting these great lists together for us on Spotify. His Twitter handle and Spotify handle are the same. It's Dogmatic, DAWGMATIC 67. Dogmatic 67 on Twitter and Spotify. Reach out and let us know. We'll be happy to do it. But I'm telling you now, if you like modern rock, you're going to love Bad Omens if you don't already. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. If you're looking for Mississippi State merch, and chances are you are, visit Campus Bookmart. Go by and see them next time you come to town. They're open year-round. It's not just in football and baseball season, right? But on game day, that's your place to stop and shop for Mississippi State merch. If you can't make it to town, visit them on the World Wide Web at campusbookmart.net, courtesy of Al Gore's Internet. And you will be able to peruse their fine selection of Mississippi State merchandise. A lot of places don't have a lot of stuff up online. They do a great job of updating the website. I'd encourage you to follow them on social media, too. There's always things that pop up. I'm thinking, oh, I got to have that. I got to have that. And so I go get it. I buy all of my Mississippi State merchandise from Campus Bookmart. Campusbookmart.net, promo code BSR. That's just exclusively for Boneyard listeners. That gets you free shipping on all orders over 75 bones. BSR, of course. Beautiful Steve Robertson, right? That's a reminder for you. Easy for you to remember that. Campusbookmart.net, promo code BSR. All right, let's look around the league. A lot going on here, for sure. A lot going on. All right, so let's look at the scores from last night's games. And we did have, Auburn and Missouri. That got postponed to a doubleheader today. We need a good result there. We do. We need some margin for error. We've put ourselves in a very difficult situation here. Got to find a way to get some help around the league. We don't control our own destiny. As mentioned, Missouri and Auburn, that gets pushed back. They're going to get started today at 2 o'clock. So be sure and kind of keep an eye on that too as you go about your day. Every series in the league started. Tennessee, South Carolina also postponed due to weather. That really doesn't impact us. I just don't think South Carolina can climb high enough to be a tiebreaker for us, and hopefully we won't need a tiebreaker. LSU and Georgia goes 12 innings, and Paul Skeens, not invincible, right? Not invincible. Pretty crazy game here, too. If you guys kept up last night, I mean, we really, if we could sweep A&M and LSU could sweep Georgia, well, we're in. Well, we got what we needed last night, a win for Mississippi State and then a loss for Georgia. But again, LSU jumps out to a 2-0 lead, and then in the fifth, they get the skeins a little bit and tie the ball game. And then in the eighth, LSU takes the lead. You think, okay, we're good here. Okay, we're good. But you know that LSU bullpen is leaky, to say the least. 4-2, Georgia scratches out a run in the eighth. LSU gets it back. So bottom of the ninth, it's a 5-3 ball game. Georgia hits a couple of solo tanks. Absolutely insanity. They tie the ball game, and I'm thinking, this is where it ends. This is it. We've scratched and clawed and put ourselves in a position here, and Georgia is going to ruin it for us. And they nearly do. LSU nearly blows this thing. I'm pulling it up right now just to make sure I have the details correct for you here. So in the bottom of the ninth, Murillo homers to lead off to pull Georgia within one. LaPlante grounds out to short. Spikes flies out to center. So 2 outs, and then Anderson homers to right field to tie the ball game. You go to the 10th, nothing doing for either team. You get in the 11th, and LSU with a chance here. Jobert is hit by the pitch. They pinch run for him, and you get a sack bunt down. So now you've got to go ahead run, and then Napolt walks. They pinch hit him for Gavin Dugai, which I still don't understand. They walk Trey Morgan on 4 pitches. You think, here it is. And then Dylan Cruz strikes out looking, and then Tommy Tanks grounds out. So a golden opportunity wasted. And that's kind of what happened last weekend against us. They kind of go all in to win it right here and there, make all these substitutions, and then 3 and 4 hitters can't come through for them. Bottom 11, nothing. 1, 2, 3 for Georgia. And then in the 12th, LSU gets to them. Hayden Travinsky doubles to center field and then goes to third on a wild pitch to go ahead and run 90 feet away with nobody out. And then Pearson, rather than just hit the sac fly, hits a 2-run shot. They make a change here and then bring in their own Pearson for Marsh, and then he gives up a home run to Jordan Thompson. And then LSU able to get him 1, 2, 3 there in the bottom of 12. So State needed that. We get that. We're now a game behind Georgia in the standings. Florida takes care of Kentucky 10-3. Alabama beats Ole Miss 4-1. Ole Miss now assured of being the last place team in the league, a year removed from winning a national championship. We've been there. We can commiserate. We won't, but we can. Arkansas, 8-2 winners over Vanderbilt. Arkansas now in really good position now to win the SEC championship. And matter of fact, they can clinch at least a share of the SEC regular season title with a win today. And that's in Nashville. Arkansas out there. Again, I had this discussion when we went to Clyde's Wednesday night, and an Arkansas fan stopped me and take a picture and talk a little bit about college baseball. Because he said he can't believe Dave Van Horn hadn't won one yet. They may win it this year. Is anybody playing better than Arkansas right now? And they're getting healthy? That's the thing you look at. They've had all kind of injuries on the mound, and I think Dave Van Horn might be your coach of the year, to be quite honest with you. Maybe. I think that's how it's going to work out. All right, so let's take a look at the standings now, kind of see where things look, where things stand, with 2 games left to play in the regular season. All right, Florida now has clinched the East. They're 19-9 in conference. Vanderbilt now 17-11, 2 games back, and of course, Florida now in good position. South Carolina 15-11, and South Carolina, of course, a half game difference because of that LSU series. They didn't play the game 3, but Florida, a team that I picked to be second in the East this year, is going to win the East. Kentucky 15-13 now. Assured of at least a 500 record, which is a step forward for them. If they can find a way to get one, be in a much better situation. Tennessee 14-13, Missouri now 10-17, and they'll play 2 today. Georgia 10-18. Still some games to be played, for sure. Arkansas 20-8, as we mentioned. Again, one win away from clinching at least a share of the SEC championship. LSU 18-9. And again, a half game behind because of that game with South Carolina. But it doesn't look like LSU's going to catch them. Auburn 14-13, Alabama 14-14 now. A lot of people wondering if Jason Jackson should be the new coach at Alabama. Ever since Bohannon's been fired, Jason Jackson's got this team playing exceptionally well. Texas A&M now 12-16, and again, they're not in the tournament. They may be able to get in with 12 wins. I just don't know. Mississippi State 9-19. Ole Miss now 6-22. Can you imagine how unmotivated that team's got to be to play a baseball game today? You're on the road. Your season is over. You know once the weekend concludes, you're not going to play. You're going to be getting ready to go for your pre-draft workouts. And there's some discussion that Ole Miss might actually lose every single position player in their starting lineup. As bad as our situation is, theirs is worse. Certainly. And to compound matters at Ole Miss, a lot of discussion, too, about, some of their donors are like, I'm not going to give any more money to NIL for baseball. I'm just not going to do it. Not going to do it because I don't want to support Mike Bianco. That last year was a fluke. I don't believe that it was. I mean, granted, at some point you thought Mike Bianco at Ole Miss would win one. Last year may be the improbable thing. You last team in a tournament. But it's difficult to expect to go out there and have a meaningful portal class when people aren't willing to fund it. All right, so what needs to happen? All right, Mississippi State, 9-19. Basically, you're chasing Georgia and Missouri. And if you could get Auburn to win a couple today and State could win today, all of a sudden you have caught Missouri. LSU wins today. All of a sudden there is a three-way tie with one game left to play. That's the best case scenario for State. If somehow we sweep and then Auburn and LSU both sweep, State is in. And not only is State in the tournament, they're in as the 11 rather than the 12. Because one of Missouri or Georgia will take the 12. That's pretty significant too, right? I don't know what the tiebreaker, I don't remember who won between Georgia and Missouri. I guess Missouri won that series. Yeah, Missouri swept that series. So Georgia can't win a tiebreaker with Missouri, and I don't know that we can either. So we just need to take care of business and continue to get some help. So today is, in many respects, the day. This is moving day when it comes to Mississippi State, and we got to go win a ball game. We go win a game, you keep hope alive for at least another day. But if you're able to sweep and then get at least one of these sweeps from LSU or Auburn, you're in. It's that simple. It's a little more difficult than maybe perhaps I'm making it out to be. LSU has to go on the road and finish that sweep of Georgia that has an outstanding pitching staff, and they're trying to figure it out too. And you begin to ask yourself at Georgia, how many years are you going to stick with Scott Strickland? They do a great job developing pitchers, but they haven't done a great job formulating an offense more times than not. So 2 games left to play for Mississippi State, and we're a game out of Hoover. It sounds pretty simple. It really does, because it is. We've complicated matters because we hadn't played well much of the year. But it all boils down to this. We win these 2. Georgia loses these 2. We're in. We win these 2. Missouri loses these 3. We're in. I just don't see a tiebreaker situation based on how things look right now of us getting in if we end up in a tie. So we got to go do our part, win these couple ball games. And again, people are like, can we make the field? No, we can't make the tournament. Unless we go to Hoover and win the tournament. I guess one could make an argument that State may have a chance if you could make it to the finals. But I think most people would agree, as poor as this season has gone, the only chance we have is to win out this weekend, get to Hoover, and then win in Hoover. And I just don't see that happening. At this point, that's all we're hoping for, is just trying to find a way to make it to Hoover and salvage something of the season that has been fairly abysmal at some points. But for those of you that are at Duty Noble Field today, I encourage you to get out and go support these young men. And what's interesting to me too, there's so much of that too that sometimes we lose sight of the fact that these are our neighbors' kids. These are our friends and their children. And they're not children anymore, obviously. They're young men. But it's not just a game. You say it's a game. You go look at the video of Amani Larry leaping around the bases last night after walking that thing off. You can't sit here and tell me these guys don't care. All right, so to look at today's schedule, Missouri will be at Auburn. Game 1 is set for 2 p.m. Central. Tennessee, South Carolina, Game 1, also at 2 p.m. Ole Miss and Alabama will get started at 2 p.m. At 5 p.m. this evening, LSU will play Georgia. That's one, again, we're pulling for the Tigers, which feels weird, but we are. 5:30 p.m. Central, Florida and Kentucky. We'd like to see Kentucky take a game there. Really would. Tennessee, of course, Game 2 will follow around 6. Tennessee, South Carolina, Mississippi State, and Texas A&M, 6 p.m. And then Missouri at Auburn, Game 2, also set for around 6 p.m. And then Ole Miss and Alabama will try to play a doubleheader today and finish up 6 p.m. And then Arkansas, Vanderbilt, the prime time on the SEC Network, that's at 7 p.m. So that's your schedule for today. And again, every game matters. They don't always impact us. We could have got a couple things to go a little different way last night, perhaps change the tiebreaker situation a little bit. But it's basically down to this. It's basically, honestly, as honest as I can say this, we win these 2 against A&M, and LSU wins those 2 against Georgia. It doesn't matter what else happens around the league. It doesn't matter. Of course, if Auburn could get all 3 at their place against Missouri, a team that's 1-11 on the SEC road, that helps us too. But that's what it's boiled down to. It is simple as that. The fact that we're in this situation is disgusting. It is. There's no way you can sit here and say, well, I feel good about things. It is what it is. But I want to keep playing. Some of you don't. I don't understand that. We're like, we're just going to go to Hoover and go 0-2. You know what? At least we'll have made it, right? At least we would have made it. And that's not readjusting our standards. That's just kind of a prizing a situation for what it is and trying to find a way to make something positive come from that. But I don't know that anybody can, at this point, can say that they feel the same way they did against Arkansas when we looked like we were disinterested in playing baseball. And you look at these 2 big comebacks we've had in back-to-back games, those of you that say the team has quit, you don't have much evidence to support that line of thinking. All right, final segment of the show brought to you by our friends at Portico. If you're thinking of moving to Starkville, Portico's the way to go. Very easy to get to. Turn off 82 on 12 like going to campus. You know that route well. Take that very first right. You've always wondered where that road went, but it leads home. You get to that 4-way stop, Portico's right there on the right-hand side. Easy to get to. 1.1 miles away from the Mississippi State campus. Neatly tucked away in a neighborhood, right? Close enough for convenience, far enough away to have a little privacy. A little solitude there. Great place to live. Whether it be your primary residence, your retirement home, your second home, they've got a plan for you. They've got a place for you. Reach out to our friend Brooks Bryan. It's 601-416-8075. Again, that's 601-416-8075. Brooks, a guy that knows a thing or two about playing baseball at Mississippi State. Comes out football games. Anytime there's an event, Brooks makes it his business to be here. And so he understands the needs and the desires of Mississippi State fans. We want to be close to campus. We want to have a great place to live. So reach out to Brooks and maybe make that a reality for you. You can start with a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home, go all the way up to a 4-bedroom, 4-bath home, and really anything in between. You need a custom build, they can accommodate that. Right? Make Portico your next move. Okay, all right, so let's be honest with each other here for a couple minutes in the time that we have left, because I'm going to get done with this and upload the show and go get something to eat. Today's going to be a chill day for us, and then going to go take in a Ruby Falls deal. Yeah, Yeah, excited about that. And tomorrow we're going whitewater rafting. Yeah, how about that? Your good friend and host out here living life. Okay, but today's a baseball day for us. But all right, let's talk a little bit about this Chris Ramona situation. And I'll tell you what I know and what I've been told kind of throughout this process. And so, as you guys know, way back, we get swept by Kentucky, which was terrible. I remember that Friday night, I'm thinking, okay, we get a win here Friday night, and we could find a way to get a win on Saturday or Sunday. We can get a sneaky SEC road dub right out of the gate. And then we get beat on a walk-off wild pitch. And there was more to it than that. We had many opportunities to execute in that ball game. We didn't, right? And then the rest of the weekend, it's a tailspin. Then Vanderbilt comes in absolutely red hot, and they absolutely murder us. And we're 0-6. And all of a sudden we start making these deals and bargaining with ourselves and thinking, okay, well, if we can do this and we can do that, and maybe Kentucky's better than we anticipated, and Vanderbilt maybe the best team in the conference. Turns out they're not, but they're still outstanding. And there are a lot of people like, hey, I can't go through this again. Yeah, Steve, I can't do it. I mean, it impacts our business, right? I mean, we got skin in the game too. But I began to, put some feelers out then, to people that I trust. It's like, if this happens, if we have a repeat of last year, what are we going to do? Are we going to make a coaching change? You begin to do the research, and again, I've done it. I think I'm the first person to ever do it. But there's never been a coach fired 2 years removed from a national championship. And in the middle of the year, a lot of people are like, you know what? I don't even care about that. Let's just get it done. Because we're prisoners of the moment, right? But let's be honest with that. At Mississippi State, we talk about, we don't rebuild at Mississippi State. We reload, right? That's always kind of been our mantra. We're just not a program that has these peaks and valleys. And there have been some times, obviously we've had some difficult years at times, but what we have endured the last 2 years is foreign to us. And you look around and say, well, would LSU do that? Would Arkansas do that? I don't know what they would do. But I know what we're doing. And you have to consider, too, it's not just as simple as, okay, it's not like, you work at a bank and you go fire a teller. You work at a convenience store and you go fire a clerk. You work in a warehouse and you go fire, a forklift operator, right? I mean, it's not that simple. There are a lot of things involved with contracts. There are buyouts. And not just the staff that you're, looking to push out. You got to go buy out the contracts of the guys you want to bring in. And it's interesting, there are so many people, and there's one guy in particular on Gene's page that makes this point all the time. It's like there's so many people that don't like baseball and don't want us to spend more money on baseball, want us to go write a check for about $10 million. You say, Steve, there's no way. Well, yes, wait, Ted, yes. Because when you start buying out these contracts and buying out the next contracts and you begin to think about what it's going to take to bring those people in, the amount of investments you're going to have to make, yes. That's about the number we're talking, and that's on the northern end of it, obviously. That's the more aggressive end of it. It's a complicated deal. It's like we think about our own jobs. Well, if I don't get the results done, they're going to fire me. That's true. That's right. The difference is you don't get a golden parachute to leave. That's a huge part of things. I think you also have to factor in the fact, too, it's like, hey, listen, we finally won a national championship. We reached the end of a talent cycle. And part of the problem we had last year, we had the injuries, yes. But we also had some guys that were role players that were kind of thrust into a leadership role that they weren't comfortable with and they didn't respond well. And I'm not speaking negatively about anybody. That's just the reality of the situation. We needed some guys to carry the load that weren't capable of doing it. We had a couple of guys that got draftitis. Especially when Landon goes down and Stone goes down, and it's like, I got to get mine, right? And if you don't think that was prevalent at times last year, you're kidding yourself. It wasn't just injuries. And you can say, yeah, but Steve, a good coach. Yeah. Guys, come on. People who say that have never even played above the Little League level. Let's just be honest about that, right? There's only so much you can do. There is. Now, good leadership makes a difference. It does. In every aspect, because you need leaders to kind of reinforce the vision of the coaching staff. They have to buy in. It's so interesting. People are like, well, we didn't listen to this, we didn't listen to that. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you about this. cutting a player, he doesn't get a buyout, right? Cutting a player ends up, depending on his NIL money, I guess, and what's left of his scholarship money. But if I were managing this team or any team, and I had guys who wouldn't do what I wanted them to do, I wouldn't play them. And if they consistently became a problem for me, I'd cut them. I would. And you got to think, we got to find a way to win a game. Sometimes you got to make a deal with the devil. Sometimes you end up compromising your principles because of the fact you're trying to salvage something of the year. Now, this time last year, you had somebody being a malcontent or a cancer on the team. You go ahead and run them, right? I also think you factor in, too, Chris Simonis and these guys hadn't forgotten how to coach. We have had a difficult spell here where some bad evaluations and some underdeveloped players, especially on the mound, have come home to roost. Look at the guys that are pitching this year, right? Colby Holcomb, first-year player. Gerangelo Sanchi, first-year player. Nate Dome, first-year player. Aaron Nixon, first-year player. We couldn't find a Band-Aid big enough to fix the festering wound that we had when it came to poor evaluation and development on the pitching side. And I can't really put my finger on when it went wrong, but you missed basic on a couple classes, and now you're having to supplement through the portal. Tyler Davis is a guy that we expected to throw big innings for us. And this is a guy that got it done at VCU. Now, granted, the caliber of hitters you're going to see in the Southeastern Conference are greater than you're going to see in the Atlantic 10, right? But what I ask myself is, did we break Tyler Davis? Did he come in here? This is a guy, you go look at his numbers. He was a starter and at one point a closer at VCU, and we just need him to go out there and eat up a few innings for us. And so I asked myself, is it something that we have done philosophically? Is there something within our organization or our pitching philosophy that's got Tyler Davis off his game? Yeah, maybe. Maybe so. Maybe he just hadn't handled it well. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's got a girlfriend back in Richmond. I don't know. I don't know about that. But I know that when you have guys that have a history of strike throwing and getting outs, and all of a sudden they come here and they can't find the zone, and it's consistently been an issue with the staff, that's a bigger issue. That's not just a player issue. That's a coaching issue. And so my hope is that we go out and get the right pitching coach, which will turn a lot of things around. And as we've said on the show many times, pitching is our primary issue. It is not our only issue. Offensively, we're a good team. We're good enough to get to Omaha. But we just haven't been competitive on the mound. And if you've ever played baseball or coached baseball, you understand this. When you don't have guys that can throw strikes, the defense goes to sleep. And they put so much pressure on themselves because, hey, this guy can't get anybody out. If I get a ball hit to me, I got to make a play. I got to make a play. And then all of a sudden it gets in your head a little bit and the game speeds up on you. Good pitching changes everything. It doesn't have to be great pitching or even elite pitching. Just be good pitching. It's just, when you are a hitter, it is difficult to work through the adjustment phase of a ball game when the game goes from 2-0 to 9-0. Because everything goes out the window then. People are like, well, you need base runners. Yeah, it's easy to talk. It's easy to say. But when it's 2-0, you can go up there and you can be more selective. You can be more patient. You can let the game come to you. You can work counts and try to get into a bullpen. When you're down 9-0, the offensive game plan is it's done. And so you get good pitching, you get good defense. All of a sudden you get more patient hitters. It all works hand in hand. Every bit of it does. And so, yes, the biggest issue we have is pitching. And listen, I hate it for Scott Foxhall. I do. The guy's a tremendous guy. You talk to anybody in college baseball about Scott Foxhall, they'll tell you, man, that guy will give you the shirt off his back. Guy will always look you in the eye and shake your hand. You can trust that guy with your wife. Everybody will tell you that. He's a tremendous guy. You talk to a lot of our former pitchers, they'll tell you, hey, he found this in me and we fixed this. And Ethan Small, my goodness, look at what Scott Foxhall did with Ethan Small. Now, Ethan, obviously a very talented guy, but Foxhall was very instrumental in his development. And so, for some reason or another, there was a disconnect. And one of the things that I have been told in recent weeks is that Fox was kind of shell-shocked Like you just couldn't believe this was happening again. Like last year you had, the injuries. You're thinking, oh my gosh. And then this year it's the same situation. All of a sudden we can't find his own. And then Fox started doubting himself a little bit. And that's what happens. All of a sudden, when you lose confidence in yourself, other people begin to lose confidence in you. And ultimately he was fired. And then we had, we go Arkansas, we pitch it pretty well at times. And then the offense abandons us a little bit. And then we have a game to get away from us. And then we go to LSU last weekend. And listen, pitching consistently as a group was not great. Wasn't great. We didn't get great pitching on Sunday, even though we ended up winning the ball game. Tyler Davis, of course, wins the game for us with his best outing in the uniform. We didn't pitch it great last weekend. And so you can't just kind of glaze over the fact and say, well, we won the series, and so we're okay with that. Like last night, guys, we walked 15 hitters and hit another one and won a ball game. If we just go out there and throw strikes, let's say you walk 6, man, we win this game going away. It might even been a 10-run rule game. And so all of it works hand in hand. And so I share that with you because I think, I think now everybody's kind of reached the conclusion that Lemonis is going to be back for a year. And that's one of the things, again, even back after we got swept by Vanderbilt, I was told that we're not prepared to make a coaching change this year. Now, that encompasses a lot of things. Number one, you got a first-year athletic director, right? He's still filling out his department, right? Not just about coaching. We're trying to get the brand building staff. We're trying to get some marketing people in place. We're trying to get, we've got football season coming up. We got to get people here. We got to get them moved. We got to get them on a job. We got to get them to know the lay of the land. We got to let them know our vision. That's a big part of things. So that's got to happen. In addition to that, you got a guy that comes in and like, okay, we're not expected to make a coaching change in baseball this year. Do you think he had a short list together? Of course he didn't. And that's not to be critical of Zach. Because I think Zach Selman's a good dude. I think Zach Selman's going to do a good job for us. But all of a sudden, it's like, hey, we get off to this bad start. And it's like, okay, we figure some things out. We change rotation a little bit. Start getting some guys healthy. You get Cade Smith back, Aaron Nixon back. And then you win the series against Alabama. Yeah. Then you win Super Bulldog weekend. And you think, hey, we got to go get this game at Auburn and win this series at Auburn. We played 3 one-run games, and we have those 2 epic collapses on Saturday and Sunday. We managed to hang on Saturday, and we blow it on Sunday. And even if we win that Sunday game, you're looking back in hindsight, things changed. I think that series took a lot out of us emotionally. It really did. Because the next thing you know, we're kind of, we're you got to go to Tennessee, who all of a sudden finds themselves in Arkansas, begins to play some outstanding baseball, And but again, I think we thought we'd kind of right the ship a little bit. We'd kind of turn the corner a little bit. And then all of a sudden we have those bad weekends, and everybody's like, hey, the team has quit. Well, one thing I can tell you, teams that quit don't come back from 13-4 to win a ball game. They don't. You don't get that kind of that kind of grace. It didn't happen. We could have easily laid down last Sunday and been 10-run ruled in 7 innings. Easily. Teams that have quit don't come back from 7-2 to win on Friday night against A&M's best starter and best 3 relievers. Now, teams that quit won't do that. Teams that quit will just quit. We're done. I'm just ready to get out of here and go get in the Cotton District, go see my friends. Once this thing is over, the semester's over, I can go home, be with my family for a little while, and head out to the Cape or whatever my summer baseball assignment is. Maybe I can get my pre-draft workouts in. Think about themselves. You watch Imani Larry hit that home run last night. You think that kid's quit? You think the game doesn't matter? You think they don't care about their teammates, they don't care about their coaches, they don't care about them over us? You're kidding yourself. You're trying to feed false details into a narrative that didn't work out. There's so many people that had sources. It's amazing how sources have dried up over the last week. It's incredible. And now we get defensive about that. Sometimes things don't go the way we want them to go. Yeah, I can tell you this: when the Joe Moorhead thing happened, and we've addressed some of that, in earlier shows. I wanted Joe to make it because I wanted Joe. I thought, Joe is a great guy. And, maybe, the Tommy Stevens thing blowed up in our face, but, we thought we had the guy, right? And we signed Garrett Schrader, and Garrett was going to be groomed to be the next guy. We were excited about Garrett Schrader. And then all of a sudden, Garrett goes and beats Kentucky, right? If Garrett starts against Kansas State, we probably win that game too. But I was thinking, you know what? Hey, there is some semblance of fight here with this group, and no pun intended. But I thought, hey, Joe's got his guy now. We got Garrett Schrader. We've had some bad things happen here and there. We've had some guys get suspended. But I wanted Joe to make it because I thought, hey, with Colin Hill and Garrett Schrader and this young nucleus of players working together, I think we're going to be okay. And then we lost some games we shouldn't. And we end up winning the Egg Bowl. You think, okay, we're bowl eligible. As bad as things have gone this year, we've had so many injuries with quarterbacks. Maybe we can turn this thing around. I wanted Joe to make it. I did. I really did. I'll be honest about that. And then we had all the craziness that happened during bowl practices. We're not going to go back and, flesh all that out again. We're not going to rehash that. But it was apparent once kind of news of kind of some things that happened went around, it was apparent we weren't the team that I think we thought we were, at least not for me. And I remember sitting there after losing to Louisville and in the Music City Bowl. And a game we had the lead at halftime. People forget that. And we blow it. Absolutely terrible second half. And I remember sitting there in postgame, and Joe rattles off this list of all the positives from the year that we finished 6-7, and says, I don't want today's result to erase all the positives. And I thought to myself, Joe didn't get it. Joe doesn't get it. And I hate it because I like Joe. I still like Joe. Every so often I'll hear from Joe or I'll message Joe. He's a big sports memorabilia guy. And I want Joe to do well at Akron. I really do. And I think Joe is a guy that'll do a good job up there. I don't know what the future holds for him, but I hope good things happen for Joe Moorhead and his family. I really do. But it was apparent walking out of that press conference, I was like, this guy doesn't get it. That's where I think things are different with Lamonis. And I had some conversations with Chris, obviously. And I do think Chris gets it. And rather than kind of, it's one of the mistakes I think Joe made is Joe kept trying to glaze over and trying to fool you guys. Like, he never really accepted it for what it was. It's like, hey, yes, we got beat today in a game where the quarterback that I had picked to come run this offense imploded. But let's look at all the positives. At least Chris will sit there and take the beating sometimes. And more times than not, he's the guy that's out there beating himself. He's like, hey, it's on me. I got to fix this. And I can tell you in my private conversations with Chris, they're much different than maybe what we experienced, certainly from Ben Howland and Joe Moorhead. I think Chris gets it. I think the bottom line, too, is that I think the bottom line with Chris is that, Chris is a guy that's always won. And I think this has been difficult on him because he never expected to be in a situation either. And so when you've never had to dig yourself out of the pit, it's tough to do it. It's tough. And so that's what this next year is going to determine. And it is apparent that he is coming back. I mean, barring some just totally unforeseen, something, that we don't see coming. But the thing that I would like to hope is that what we have seen maybe in the last several days, and that's a very small sample size, right, is that we're beginning to see a little more esprit de corps. And some of the guys that I think are expecting to get drafted won't be. And maybe they're back. And you start thinking about that nucleus of players. We'll see how things go. Again, I think there's some guys that would love to sign that maybe won't get the opportunity. So we'll see how things go. Bulldog Initiative is going to be busy, trying to keep some guys here. That's part of the deal too. But I can't sit here and tell you it's all going to be okay because I don't know that. all I can tell you is that I have been disappointed with the season. And forget the business owner part of it, right? Yeah, we own a business, and our business is very much relying on the success of Mississippi State athletics. But as a guy that bleeds maroon and white, I'm disappointed in the season. And like many of you, I almost feel somewhat betrayed. It's like, we give our loyalty and we expect so much, and we get out and we're so supportive and we do this and do that, and then we don't get what we expect. That our program doesn't hold up their end of the deal. And it sucks, man. It does. It's like I hate Mississippi State ever being the punchline in anything. But it hurts the most when it's our people making the joke. And it does. And how do you defend it? You can't. You just hope for the best. It's like here we are at the end trying to be the eternal optimist. And it's like, hey, here we are at the end of the year and we still have a chance to make the NCAA tournament. The chances are minuscule because, we need so much to happen just to make the field at Hoover. And then you got to go win at Hoover. You got to win the whole thing. So anybody expecting us to make a regional, you need to put a pin in that. It's not going to happen. But we're trying to salvage something of the season and try to have some positive momentum going into the offseason. And then not to mention, that's something you can do with guys in the portal. You can say, listen, hey, we had some problems here, and here's what we did down the stretch. We went down to LSU, and we beat number 2 LSU 2 out of 3, and then A&M comes in here trying to find a way to make a tournament. We win that series too. It's a difficult sell. It's a lot more difficult to make that sell when you get destroyed the last couple weekends, which would have been 4 in a row for us. And so I'm not just sitting here trying to put lipstick on a pig here. I'm just trying to say, hey, this is the decision that's been made. Let's go try to make the decision right. I don't know if it's the right decision. Now, I've said on this show before that I do believe Lemonis deserves another year. I don't know if that means Lemonis is going to turn this thing back around and we go back to Omaha. I don't know that. I'd like to believe that, but I don't know that. But what I do know is that I believe we are doing the right thing by Chris Lemonis. And my hope is that in turn we're doing the right thing for Mississippi State. And that what the needs of Mississippi State are paramount, right? But yeah, I share some of the same concerns you do. It's not like I'm oblivious to what we've seen the last 2 years on the field. We have got to have strike throwers. We have got to have guys willing to compete. We've got to have guys who can hit good pitching. And there's a reason they call it good pitching in the first place, because good pitching gets outs against good hitters. And so, again, we got a young nucleus of players here coming back. I think the pieces are there on offense. We've got to go find some pieces on the pitching side of things. And you guys know that. We need Bradley Laughlin to get healthy. We need Lowe to keep going. We need, Logan Forsythe. We need Brock Tapper. We got a lot of guys out there that we're going to be depending on to get outs, and we need those guys to make a jump next year. But, the bottom line is, and I've heard this expression years ago, we may have all gotten here in different ships, but we're in the same boat now. And that's trying to push this thing forward and hope the best for Mississippi State baseball. All right, that's going to do it for today. If you hadn't done so, go to dogpilethebook.com. You can get most of my sports books there. You can get Dogpile, you can get Alpha Dogs, and, of course, Flim Flam. Bloomsville Leander will be only in print for a little time longer. You can go check that out at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, BooksAndMegan.com, and through your local bookstore. If you need Stark Villains gear, and chances are you do, go to StarkVillains.com. They can get you T-shirts, hoodies, get you outfitted for football season. And I always appreciate you guys repping the brand. If you hadn't done so, go to genespage.com. Come be a member there. It'll be a fun summer as we get ready for summer camps. And we'll be kind of covering some baseball recruiting news as well. And before you know it, it's going to be football season. I'm really excited about Zach Arnett and this team and this program. And I'm probably, again, more optimistic than most. I think we're in store for a good year, a really good year. Could be a special year. Could be. I don't know that I'm ready to go that far, but I think this team's certainly capable of winning several games this year and building on last year's success. And look forward to being a part of that and covering all that. And we'll get done with baseball season here sooner or later. We may be done tomorrow, and then we'll be getting ready for football season. Football season may begin before the month is out for Mississippi State. That's unfortunate, but we're going to do a great job covering that for you. We can't wait to get out there and cover the summer camps, and then of course, fall camp as we get ready to prepare for the season opener against Southeastern Louisiana. Until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.
The new Chevy Silverado HD puts you in command. Own strength with its enhanced available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8. Own the lake with its available advanced towing technology. And own technology with an available 13.4-inch diagonal touchscreen. The new Chevy Silverado HD. Own work, own play, own life. Learn more at Chevy.com. Find new roads. Chevrolet.